Reps, and I'm very happy that we have another 5 companies that are presenting today. So welcome. We also have one company on site. And also a welcome goes out to our jury members who have pre-selected the companies. I'm very happy that you join us online. So we have a great set of jury members. We have great companies here. So I think we are very well prepared for this session. So very quickly about the rules. So we will have 5 companies pitching with a 5 minutes pitch each, followed by a 3 minute of Q&A. For the Q&A, I ask the jury members, but also the entrepreneurs, to ask short and precise questions and give answers straight to the point as well, because we are limited in time. When you want to ask a question and you're an online participant, we ask you to ask your question by raising the hand in Zoom. So for our jury members, for our on-site participants, just raise your hand here so that I can see it, and then you can ask your question. For our jury members again, who are taking place online in Zoom, please rename yourself to your name and company so that we can see who is asking a question. And if you want to meet a company in person or in a one-to-one meeting online, we have additional spots for next week, Monday, November 29, where we have a full day of one-to-one meetings between companies and investors in Zoom. We will constantly share a form in the Zoom chat for our jury members where you can book a meeting. Just click on that link in the Zoom chat if you're a jury member, and then we are happy to schedule a meeting for each of you. If you are not a jury member, you unfortunately can't see the Zoom link, but we will share my email address at the end of the session, and then you just can send an email to me and book a meeting directly. Here you can see an overview about our investor jury who is present today. If you want to do a follow-up with the companies, please let us know, and we are happy to connect. And with that said, I now want to hand it over to our first company, which is Exceed. And I think, Rink, you are ready to present
Yes.
Online. Please
I'm
take
ready.
it over.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rink Landstra, one of the 4 co-founders of Exceed. So with Exceed, we believe in sustainable agriculture, where farmers are able to optimize productivity while preserving the soil and the environment for now and for future generations. Exceed provides autonomy as a system, a ready-to-use autonomous platform with virtual planning tools and valuable data models. Today's farmers are struggling to find skilled labor, while making sure that they have to provide enough food for the total global population. To realize this, machines have become more productive, but also heavier, larger, and more complex. The usage of these machines have compacted our soils, and this is negatively impacting the biodiversity inside the soil and also the ability of plant roots to reach the nutrients in the deeper layers of the soil. To compensate for this, farmers are using chemicals and fertilizer. If we do not put a halt to this, it will inevitably lead to erosion and ultimately to desertification. Our all-in autonomy system is part of the solution. So to execute this project, we've put up with the best in companies to develop an autonomous light agricultural platform. Our soils be to realize plug-and-play machines, and our modular approach allows both B and B2C revenue streams. The machine is equipped with standard front-end hitch to connect with existing equipment the farmer already have in use today on his farm. This will facilitate transition towards autonomy. We do not throw away decades of experience in cultivation of our soils. Our in-house developed digital operator portal is a cloud tool to remotely plan tasks and to collect fleet and field data. So this unique combination of our autonomous machines in the field and our cloud-based portal is what autonomy as a system means. Our solutions will realize additional profitability for the farmer, realizing not only yield increase, but also saves on labor, running, and fuel costs. More than profit for the farmer while enabling them to work more sustainably. Exceed's team has over 70 years of experience in developing and commercializing high-volume agricultural machinery for the world's leading agricultural brands. The idea to go back to the basic principles of agriculture was in the back of our heads for years. So in 2018, we decided to take this challenge in our own hands. The first machines we have already sold directly, and we are approached already now by distribution partners from all over the globe, ensuring rapid growth. So the total global agricultural market is well over $100 billion, and the average tractor sales in our target markets reaches 150,000 units. We believe that approximately 30% of this volume is up for replacement by autonomous machinery. Within 3 years, we expect to be able to undercut the pricing of conventional equivalent tractors while providing us with a healthy 40% margin. Our initial focus will be on arable and orchard applications due to the repetitive nature of the tasks involved. And the wealth of data that is collected by our machines offers endless opportunities to be monetized within the food supply chain. We want to break with the traditional distribution chain. So our portal ensures direct communication lines with the customers, supported by regional partners who know the local farmers, soil, and conditions. Exceed has been able to secure several loans, grants, and investments, enabling us to set the foundation for this project. So what we're looking for is strategic partners for our coming Series A round by mid of next year to accelerate our growth and to expand our data and service-driven revenue streams. So as a picture says more than 1,000 words, this one needs some at least. What you see here is which was underwater 2 weeks before this picture was taken. So the small stream you see on the right is up in the River Maas. However, the to put his sugar beet seeds in because more time in the soil, higher yields. With his conventional tractor, he could go on the field. It was still too wet. So he saw our machine on the neighboring field and he asked us if we could have a go. It was no problem at all for our machine. Secondly, he asked us if we could open up the soil diagonally. So with his conventional equipment, he can only do it left to right or top to bottom. Selected one of the diagonal edges as a reference for the path planning, and it was no problem at all also here to generate this path. And as a bonus, we selected the shortest route on the field. Hence you can see the machine skipping lanes, meaning less time in the field and also less fuel consumption. So we're on the edge of a radical change in the way we produce food, and together with your support, we want to bring our solutions to the market. On behalf of Team Exceed, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ring. Great presentation, very well done. And I ask our technique, do we have any questions from the jury members? Okay, we have Bruno from BTOV.
Yes, Ring, what are the adoption hurdles for your equipment? What could prevent the farmer to buy it and to implement it?
We're selling at this moment. So for next year, we will have our first deliveries. We want to do 10 machines of the track versions and 10 machines of the orchard versions. What we cannot do is drive autonomously to the field. So this is one of the conditions, for example. We will leave that to automotive. So you have to put the machine within the field boundaries, but there it can work. It sees obstacles. It can complete the path. So from that perspective, for usage next year, there are no problems or hurdles for the farmers.
Okay, thank you very much. Then we have a question from Letizia. Letizia, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I would have a question regarding the technologies that you are potentially planning to embark on your machine. Are you planning to go one step further and, for example, having some sensors able to monitor the crop's growth and then adjust the input treatments, for example?
Yeah. Excellent question. We partner up with a lot of companies. So also for the implement side, we are partnering up with the major manufacturers of implements. And also here we have some sensors on our machine ourselves, ultrasonic sensors, LiDAR, but we are looking for partnerships with soil sensors or we had a supplier over for gamma radiation sensors. So we can mount these on the machines and we can collect the data, map fields, and then also implement task cards. So we're looking for partnerships with companies to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have a last question from Fabrice. Fabrice, go ahead, please.
Just got it. Hi, good afternoon. Quick question on the business model. Do you think farming as a service could be attractive for your product? I've seen some companies in AVs doing this, and was wondering if that's something you would consider.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions like that. Even one farmer, for example, asked, which I thought was a very good idea, is I want to just hire horsepower. So in harvest season, when I have to get my maize or potatoes, etc., out of the field, I need a lot of horsepower. And that's why I buy a tractor with that amount of horsepower for that specific time frame to be used. But in the majority of the season, I don't need so much horsepower. So yes, we're looking into those kinds of models. If you do it on hectares, hours, horsepower, these are all interesting models, and we do get requests from farmers to do that. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Time is over then. Thank you very much, Rink, for the presentation and for answering the questions. If any of our jury members or participants has more questions to Rink and Exceed, I would like to ask you to follow the Zoom invitation from Marcia to fill out the form, and then we can schedule additional meetings for our jury members. If you are watching us via live stream, I will share my email address at the end of the session, and then you can book additional meetings, and we are happy to put you in contact with the company. And I see our next company is ready, Computomics. Sebastian Schultheis, please take it over.
Thank you. I'm Sebastian, one of the co-founders of Computomics, and we've been working with breeders for the most part to really accelerate the time it takes to develop a new variety. Our goal is to become the technology that is behind all of the future crops, and our mission is to make this as efficient as possible for the resource use that we see in agriculture today, and make sure that we can really improve on the way that breeding and species planting has been done so far. A typical breeding program currently can test maybe 2,000 varieties in the first year. These are crosses that make sense to the breeder and that should be tested. And over the few years that the breeding program is running, the breeder narrows down the kinds of things that could become a potential commercial variety in the end. But in reality, the end result is often very few success cases. And by the year that you're actually commercializing this, you essentially have a variety that's adapted to the climate from 8 years ago. And it takes a long time to be on the market itself. And the next biggest obstacle is really from the 2,000 varieties, the crosses that can be tested. Breeders typically have 10 million or so that they could be testing, and they really have to make tough choices ahead of time. So what if we could tap into these potential 10 million crosses to see which of those really would perform the best? And that's what our system is doing. We're able to provide breeders with the information of which of these crosses really make sense to test based on the testing population. And one of our customers told us that really this led to 10 times more commercial candidates, and it led to a commercial launch that was 3 years faster than normal. And the adaptation to the climate, of course, is also then much better. So what we're developing is varieties that are more sustainable, for example, with higher protein content that are adapted to future climates and that retain the genetic diversity that's present in these breeding programs. The market we are addressing with this is the seed market at the moment. It's scheduled to be about 90 billion euros in 2024. And with our regional focus, a realistic market share would be around 2% of royalties that we're claiming on the varieties that we helped predict. And you can see there is a constant increase in the number of registered varieties. In 2019, about 14,600 have been registered, 11% more than the year before. Our go-to-market strategy is really focusing on the largest and technologically most advanced agricultural markets in North America, Europe, Brazil, and Argentina. And the direct sales approach that we are taking has paid off in the customers you can already see down there. And because this is also applicable to food companies who are highly vertically integrated and who have their own breeding programs, this is also something that we've offered to them. The revenue streams that we're aiming for really are royalty deals, and those can be secured many years in advance, because when we start with the breeding program, it will take a few years, even with our acceleration, until it's commercial and until the revenues start coming in. So even though this is quite backloaded into the future, most of these revenues are really secured much earlier in the timeline. Of course, we do have some competition. Just to highlight the key differentiators that we are able to use our machine learning based predictions independently of any technology, and we have a much higher accuracy than any of the statistical methods. We have a 6 years head start, and we have in-field validations of our technology. We only provide results to customers, never our source code. So this is how we protect our IP. We have a dedicated team that is enabling our customers to use this technology. And we have about 43 customers that have already signed up to these recurring software as a service deals or to a revenue royalty deal. Our ask, as the previous speaker put it, is we're putting together a Series B now that we've completed Series A this year. Because we will be in a position to then really opt for this larger market, and the amount of customers, especially in food and indoor farming, is going to be even bigger at that time. And we want to make sure that we are going to be able to help these customers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Great presentation again. I'm asking our jury, do we have any questions to Sebastian and Computomics? Okay, Bruno, BTOV, please go ahead.
Yes, Sebastian, can you tell us a bit more about the technology? Where is your innovation in the technology? Can any competitor do the same machine learning or not?
No, we have developed our proprietary methods, and those go back to really integrating the data sets that come out of biology. As we have really looked at all different competitors, even internal departments of the different existing companies that are either customers or potential customers, no one has a technology like this. And with our 6 years head start and specific machine learning expertise, this unique combination of know-how is a very good protection.
Question, Anouk. Anouk, please go ahead.
Yeah, beyond protein content, what kind of traits or crops are you aiming for?
We are working mostly with field crops at the moment. We are also looking at crops that can produce specific ingredients for food companies, let's say sweeteners, for example. And we work with food companies that are creating beverages out of crops. For example, malting traits are important for those. And we make sure that overall, the breeder's ultimate goal is usually yield, whatever that means to them. That's the optimization that we use.
Okay, thank you very much. I hear no more questions. Then thank you very much, Sebastian, for the presentation and for the questions. And as always, our jury members can now go to the Zoom chat, and you find a link where you can book additional meetings with Computomics and Sebastian. For our non-jury members, I will share an email address at the end of the session, where you can also book some meetings with Computomics. And then I hand it over to our third company, which is Fimuskraft from Finland. And I think the presenter will be Ati. Ati, please go ahead.
Yes, okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Hello, I'm Ahti, CEO of company Fimuskraft. Our technology makes biogas faster, much more, and with less capex than existing biofermenters. Our mission is to supply innovative biogas solutions for the smart use of biowaste worldwide for producing energy and valuable byproducts. We belong to Finland's cleantech cluster. Our core team has strong competencies in R&D, sales, marketing, production, procurement, and startup of new factories and businesses. We have wide experiences in international companies like ABB, Nokia, and Wärtsilä, just name a few. In addition, we have already established a very strong partner network. There is a lack of effective and cost-efficient means of valorizing bio-waste. Existing anaerobic digesting systems are high in capex, low energetic efficiency with long process times, and unreliable linear economy based with inflexible use of feedstocks. Solution to all these problems is Fimuskraft biogas plant, FKBP, which is a three-step game-changing technology combining special pre-handling unit to a novel biofermenting process, leading to 25 to 40% more biogas in 1/3 of fermenting time. In addition to butane gas, valuable high nutrient-rich biofertilizer is produced, and in some cases also other very valuable byproducts. The process has been tested with agricultural waste and process waste from pulp mill. First patents, they are already there in the pipeline and granted. In nutshell, customer gets more bioenergy faster and with lower investment costs. Also very efficient biofertilizer, all this with reduced carbon footprint. The system is fully automated, sensor and computer controlled modular outfit. Modular design with high degree of factory manufacturing makes installation and startup at customer site fast and easy to scale up. Flexible use of feedstock makes possible to produce valuable raw materials for pharma, food, and chemical industries from certain feedstocks. FKBP is a technology to produce biogas with energetic efficiency, which is close to fossil natural gas at lower cost than traditional methods. Flexible use of feedstocks, modular design, and possibility to upgrade existing traditional plants are giving us strong edge. All this gained with lower investment, faster payback, and reduced carbon footprint. Global biogas market is around 50 billion euros, and global anaerobic digestion market is about 12 billion, which Europe is about 1/3. We are going to tackle this very fragmented market by our value chain, in which we are doing R&D, marketing, sales, installation, and startup with customer training. Manufacturing and assembly operations are made by our suppliers and partners. Some sales will happen through distributors. Commercialization plan is to make sales of the FKBP system first to food and beverage industry and agricultural sector. Microbiological booster units will be sold to existing anaerobic plants. Target countries are first Scandinavia and then selected other European countries. Later on, global expansion step by step. Our planned financial need is 5.9 million euros until 2027 when break-even is gained. We are searching 2.5 million as grant and 1.8 million as equity from EIC. Rest is 1.6 million, which is planned to get from private markets. We are at TRL 7, and to get to TRL 9 and ramp up, we need money for engineering, demonstration, and validation of our system. Marketing efforts are planned to start during first quarter 2022. Our technology makes biogas 3 times faster, almost 50% more, and with around 30% lower investments. The whole system can be modularly expanded towards biorefinery. Thank you for your time and interest.
Thank you very much, Arti, for the presentation. Let's move over to Q&A. Do we have any questions from the jury members? Okay, we're waiting for it. Okay, Bruno has a question. Bruno, please go ahead.
What is really revolutionary in your process? It was not so transparent. And second question, which scale did you test it? Is it already tested at scale 1?
Yes, we have tested it in the scale size of the fermenter cube of 20 cubic meters. And what is the revolutionary is that if the normal systems or the existing biogas plants, their methane content is from 50 up to 65%. We are reaching 90 or over 90% of the content. So that, and basically there is a revolution. It's based on some of our mechanical patented systems, and then our microbiological boostering unit, where we are using different micro groups to make pre-handling of the bio-waste.
Okay, do we have more questions? Okay, Fabrice from ETF.
Maybe a quick one around your booster unit. It sounds like an interesting go-to-market, maybe to start with this and focusing on the existing AD infrastructure. Have you thought about it, or does it make sense?
Yes, it is absolutely like you said, so that we feel that there is a lower barrier for a newcomer to go to the existing bioplants and to raise the efficiency and capacity of those. So, and then also when we can booster the efficiency of the existing players' devices, then we get very quickly the new name, and it's easier for us to sell our total systems. In the total systems, we are also more going towards the vertical integration of the make valuable raw material for this named pharma and food industry, and also some chemicals.
Thank you very much, Fabrice, for the question. We're running out of time, Arti. Thank you very much for the presentation. If any of our jury members has follow-up questions to Arti and FimusCraft, please book a meeting either via Zoom chat for our jury members or by sending an email to me. We will share the email address at the end of the session. And then I want to hand it over to our fourth company, which is Mysteria Colorum, and I ask Ivica to take over.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ivica Ilic, and I will be presenting the temperature-sensitive labels for products in cold chain by the company Mysteria Colorum, or Mycol. So Mycol is a startup company founded in 2017 by 4 female researchers gathered around the idea to become highly competitive provider of temperature-sensitive products. So basically to control the temperature for different manufacturing processes. Key problems we are addressing with our labels is basically food safety, ever-increasing food waste that is generating where the costs are bared with the producer solely, which brings inequality into the supply chain. Thus, our solution is based on temperature-sensitive printing using thermochromic materials, which once put on a label, irreversibly changes its color if the temperature during transport or storing or handling goes beyond the tolerant level. It basically means that once activated, if the product is exposed at the temperatures above or under the tolerance level, label become permanently colored and the product can be considered as unsafe. As such, we are adding value to all actors in the supply value chain, sharing this responsibility equally among them, and the potential costs that are associated to food waste basically can be traceable and addressed to the responsible actor within that chain. Our first market, let's say, that's global cold supply chain market, and our first target that within 3 years we reach the service obtainable market, which is 2 million in 3 years, targeting solely food market. Advantage of this kind of product is that basically can be applicable to any other industry which have manufacturing process or products that are sensitive to temperature. And Thus, we believe that this target can be achieved even earlier and go well beyond. Compared to the competition, I can provide the three key advantages that our labels have, which is flexibility in size, in shape, and design. Very long shelf life of both activated and non-activated product, and of course the price, taking into account that even with these prices, the profit margin for a company is still financially viable. Our primary business model relates to the direct sales of these labels, and according to our calculations, it can bring up to 3.7 million euros until 2025. We also have developed two other different business models. One of them is selling directly the ink, which requires strategic partnership with a packaging or paper industry. And of course, the customization, putting us in the role of problem solver for companies that have manufacturing process sensitive to temperature. Our go-to-market strategy is let's say like an onion. So within the first layer in 2023, we will cover a local market and market of surrounding countries. And using the feedback, we will then go the second layer, which is European single market. And in third layer, we go beyond. Our target is basically transport, logistic companies, producers, and of course, in the final line, there is a quite high social impact for the end customers. We have a highly experienced team with extensive expertise in the field. So on the upper side, these are key personnel working in the R&D department, backed up and supported by the business team below. Our CEO, Marta Clancy-Goudet, has received the World Intellectual Property Office Best Invention Award 2021 just last month, presenting these temperature-sensitive prints. We are following her in both R&D and business daily activities. According to our projection, we should reach the 3.7 million euro target in 2025, and we are aiming towards 8 million until 2029. We already have received support by ESC Accelerator, which equals to 1.1 million, and we hereby looking for an investment in Series A of 700,000 euros to close the R&D loop, to make a demonstration, and to reach the full commercialization stage. To sum up, we believe that we bring a good value. According to the Startup Insight, which was published 6 weeks ago, we have been selected among top 5 smart label solution providers in the world. With our innovation, there is a high replicability potential in other industries that are not called supply chain. You will be able to support strong experienced team with great knowledge base. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ivica. Great presentation. Do we have any questions from our jury to Ivica and Michael? Okay, Laetitia, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Are you manufacturing the ink yourself? And if yes, is there any challenge to scale up the production to support your sales?
Yes, we are producing ink ourselves, and for now it is not a problem in scalability, since 1 liter of such ink can help printing up to 1 million pieces, of course, depending on the size of the labels.
Okay.
Okay, then we have M Ventures, Sara Lupino.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious, I guess, how did you, or why did you choose your beachhead market? And I apologize if I missed it. You know, are there other potentially other markets sort of that would be a higher margin to go after, you know, pharma or something like that?
It is possible. Apologies. It is possible, but it all depends within the temperature range. For instance, if we take the vaccines, which are the most actual problem here, we can make a label for -80 degrees, but the recipe is different and the stability can be different, and it requires a lot of testing. Can be feasible, but we still are under, let's say, finalized R&D cycle, and in order to get it shorter and make it response, then we can speak about it. But yes, we are about to cover also other industries, and we are looking forward to that.
Okay, we have one last question from Bruno again, BTOV.
Yes, what sort of IP protection do you have?
For now, we have materials shared patent with the National Institute of Chemistry, and we will go further with the patenting and branding of the labels per se.
Okay, thank you very much, Ivica, for answering all those questions. If we have more follow-up questions, please schedule a meeting with us and with Michael, and we will happy to connect you, and we can see if there's a meeting on Monday. Thank you very much for the presentation. And I then move over to our last company of today's session. And I'm very happy that he's here. Max from Therabee made his way from France to Brussels. So the stage is yours.
So thank you. And thanks for the people that actually made it here. So for parity of right, I will remove the mask so at least you can hear me well. Okay, so my name is Max Ruffo. I'm the CEO of Therabee. We make 3D sensors and related solutions. We are a CERN technology partner, almost a spin-off. The clicker doesn't work.
The technique, please.
Can you also restore the timing since it's already half minute on? Okay, it works now. So here the stuff happens on site and not online. Okay, so you can trust my vision. I've got a track record on vision. So I was a pioneer of the 3D printing industry before people knew what 3D printing was. The same happened for drones in retail and consumer goods. The latest vision was about time of flight, and which means LiDAR is an American, which means 3D cameras. So we get 3D data with a flash of light. So the mission of the company is to give a contextualization to IoT data. So it's easy to put a temperature or a humidity sensor in a place, but in reality, people move, things happen. And what we want to do is to bring knowledge and context to that data. So we put 3D cameras and other type of sensors that help understanding the scenes and movements. So what do we bring really? We become an enabler of a stronger digital transformation, which is more human-centric because we understand human movements. At the same, for human, especially movement, we do people counting with 3D cameras. We understand air quality. At the same time, in parallel in agriculture, we put very simple and battery-powered sensor into silos, and we can estimate very accurately volumes. So both of them together, really smart buildings and the smart agriculture are a bit in the context of smart cities. So I'd like to stress the fact that we are not just making a software layer, we also go down to the hardware. We are expert in sensors, we build the sensor, we produce the sensor, so we have the hardware layer, and we build the software on top. So we own the full value chain. The real IPs of the companies are in the sensor technology. We handle 4 mostly, 2 based on LiDAR, is rangefinders and 3D cameras, but also radio frequency system and thermal cameras. So this is technology layers. We then put algorithm on top and edge computing, so all the intelligence is in the sensor at the edge. So this is the strength of the company. What we've done 3-4 years ago, we built a worldwide distribution for our sensor modules, which is still running. Now we are entering the IoT with the 2 applications that I mentioned. In the future, we want to go to industrial. So the markets are clearly huge. Each one counts billions of dollars. Interestingly, in the short term, we want to address the IoT, which is actually the biggest one. It's annual growth 10 to 15%. In the long term, we want to address the industrial, which is growth of 40%. The positioning versus competitor for the level and volume monitoring, we are the last product on the right-hand side, which are placed low cost, high performance. In fact, we are much better than ultrasound, which is competing technology, and much lower cost than radar, but with similar performance. So it's quite a nice sweet spot where we are. If we look at the competition for the people counting for smart buildings, here it's a bit different. We confront with some players that are strong in retail and some others that are stronger in smart buildings. We can really address the both. Our key points are that we are GDPR compliant by design because we don't use RGB cameras, but we use 3D cameras, so we can't see people. And we are very high accuracy without any need of calibration. So the business model, as I said before, we started from the bottom, is the blue stuff. It's sensor modules that goes on, we sell since 4 years now, always growing. But the business model moved into the real products, which have the intelligence on board and address the application, is the red part. And we started addressing also a SaaS model that goes on top because these are IoT applications. So we are moving the value chain up really year after year. So I'm not alone, clearly. I've got a management team of very seasoned people that all come from technology background. So the interesting is that, you know, we're not that young, unfortunately for me, but my colleagues are very strong in the field that we're coming from. So regarding projections, what is interesting is that we have an interesting track record. It's 4 years that we are growing year to year quite consistently despite COVID. We have already invested around 70 million in the company, out of which only 8 are equity. And we are now looking for 5 to 10 million for the next step, which is really a Series A. And should allow us to finish entering with the SaaS model into the market. So that's it. Thank you very much for the attention.
Last time, if you have any questions to Max and Therapy. Let's give it a second.
Hello? Maybe I can trigger more about the agriculture because I didn't speak much about that. So we are selling already in Taiwan, Brazil, all Europe and United States, mostly for volume monitoring of agriculture silos and animal feed silos.
Okay, Fabrice has a question, ETF.
Integrating further in the value chain, hardware, software layer, and adding the analytics as well to kind of provide a full solution in specific industries. And maybe in agriculture you do that. Is that the case?
Fabrice, can you repeat?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? No?
Can hear you.
Okay. So my question was around maybe potentially capturing more value by integrating further down the value chain and provide a full solution. So not only the hardware, the sensors, the kind of software layer, but also the analytics. So the end customers can really use the solution. Is that something you mentioned agriculture? Is that something somewhere where you're doing that?
So in agriculture at the moment we work with system integrators. We have 2 types, the ones that add the SaaS model and the ones that add the installation and maintenance. And our SaaS model in future is limited towards agriculture. When I mention SaaS model is more towards the smart building and people counting. Clearly, there is always the possibility to upscale in the value chain, but let's say is not in our current strategy for agriculture itself. Because what we found is that it's not only about the software, it's really about a full service to the agriculture market. And you need a very, very wide distributed team to cover that. It's much better to work with local partners, especially for such a fragmented market.
Okay. We go for one more question from BayWa. Crystal, please go ahead.
Hello, Max. Thank you for the presentation. So my question is regarding the agricultural use case. You mentioned you're currently working in the agricultural segment with animal feed silos, I guess also grain trading silos. And my question regarding the competition, I mean, there has been a huge rounds in the last year for silo software and sensor management. Can you explain a little bit what is your unfair advantage?
The volume in the silos. Basically, we use LiDAR, but very low cost. So we use LED illumination. We send a light wave. The light wave comes back. We read and we calculate the distance. Okay, it's 3D cameras. In American is LiDAR, like the one that they use on the Google car for navigation. Okay, same technology, but we don't read in a point. We read over an area. So the readings are very accurate. Now, since we don't use laser, we use LED for illumination, it's extremely low cost. So we are like same cost of ultrasound, but much more powerful, much more accurate, much more longer range. So that we won already against ultrasound. The only competing technology at technical level is radar, but radar systems are very complex and very expensive. So.
Okay. Very well done. If you want to meet Max and Therapy, as always, please follow as a jury member the link in our chat where you can book additional meetings, and we are happy to put you in contact or set something up. If you are not a jury member, you can reach out directly to me, and I'm happy to connect. You can now see our upcoming EIC events. We have another EIC e-pitching on mobility and transportation in December this year, and a lot of events also beginning of next year. As I said, we have another online meeting session next week on Monday, November 29, a full day of one-to-one meetings. So if anyone is interested in meeting any of our companies, including Max and Therapy, please reach out to us, to me. You can see my email address here. I also have some business cards here, and we are happy to set something up and connect you with our companies. With that said, thank you very much, Max. Thank you, everybody, for joining. See you all together tomorrow. 11 a.m. we start with our robotics session. Have a nice evening. Enjoy the EIC Summit 2021, and then see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.